to thank all our viewers who are watching us via Cignal TV, particularly those of you watching us on channels 8 and 250. And of course, thank you to those who catch us on Facebook, on One News PH, and of course on YouTube. We also want to thank PLDT for their home fiber optic internet that has allowed us to broadcast, whether we were in Baguio, in Lipa, Batangas, even here in Pasig. We are continuing to stay online. And let's now get on with our daily starter for today, January 3, 2023. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 19, verse 21, many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. It's a timely reminder for many of you who have made plans for this year, whether it's travel plans, business plans, personal plans. I would strongly suggest that you seek the word or the direction of the Lord, because we make so many plans, but as Proverbs tell us, in the end, it's God's will that prevails. Okay, let's now get on with today's front page of the Philippine Star, December 3, 2023. The headline is January. I'm getting confused here. We're having a bit of a glitch here. But anyway, January 3, 2023, NAIA glitch fixed, but flights still disrupted. The Senate to probe air traffic system failure. You see that photo there of travelers, stranded passengers, rest on baggage trolleys at the departure lobby of the NAIA tree after midnight yesterday as they await updates on their canceled flights following the New Year Day system glitch. Okay, now, as many of you who watched yesterday's program, the situation has been addressed, but the disruption has been widespread so that they can only expect normalization of all flights for as long as 72 hours. Many people have managed to return from abroad, get on flights, take off, etc. But the disruption, the pushback, as they say, of schedules will last from yesterday, 72 hours. So that's, before the weekend, it should all be okay. At the top of the front page, fireworks-related injuries reach 211. Okay, meanwhile, revival of private sector proposal to upgrade NAIA urged. Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion is suggesting that the proposal of the private sector to modernize the Ninoy Aquino International Airport be revived after an airport glitch halted air travel within the country's airspace on Sunday. NAIA is strategically located, and any improvements made here will redound to so many benefits to the country, Concepcion said yesterday. Okay, well, we've heard all of that before, and it seems that it is still too big of a problem to solve. Okay, meanwhile, BBM off to China for state visit. President Marcos leaves today for Beijing for a 3-day state visit where he is expected to discuss with Chinese President Xi Jinping issues on West Philippine Sea and the strengthening of economic ties between the two countries. Among those accompanying the President on his trip are First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, former President and now Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Speaker Martin Romualdez, Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo, etc. So, then for the rest of the news, indiscriminate firing, 3 incidents recorded nationwide. Fuel prices go up by 2 pesos 90 for gasoline, 2 pesos 10 for diesel. And then finally, the remains of Pope Benedict XVI has been put out for public display, and he is quoted as saying his last words, "Lord, I love you." And finally, BBM orders PhilHealth to suspend premium rate hike. So there will the planned increase of contributions to the PhilHealth scheduled for this year is temporarily suspended. Okay, we have to jump to our interview portion because, again, we have several guests for the show, and we begin with our first guest because we're still covering the delays, the glitches that was caused by the CAAP technical disruption. And we are going to go to our first guest. We have with us the spokesperson, our friend at Cebu Pacific, Carmina Romero. Carmina, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cito, and good morning to your viewers.
Well, let's just have a positive attitude about our situation. But how are things as far as Cebu Pacific is concerned? How did this operational glitch at the CAAP affect the Cebu Pacific operations in turn?
Well, the good news, Cito, is we're starting normal operations today. We're looking to fly 390 flights today as we go back to restoring normal operations. So this, after experiencing about 334 canceled flights over the period of 2 days, January 1 to January 2, where more than 37,000 passengers were affected. But today, we're hoping to start fresh, and hopefully we can really go back to normal operations, business as usual.
Okay, that's good to hear, Carmina. The question is, what is the impact of this sort of disruption? I was speaking with NAIA General Manager Cesar Chong, and they labeled it as force majeure, something that is way beyond their control, and actually it is not the area of responsibility of NAIA, but of CAAP. But in terms of impact, in terms of business, how does this hurt Cebu Pacific?
Well, Cito, we don't have the figures yet or the amount on the financial impact or how much it cost Cebu Pacific, but we really tried our best. We are sorry to all those who were inconvenienced, but we tried our best to cope up given what happened on January 1. Yes, you're correct. It's force majeure handling. Under the Passenger Bill of Rights, we are required to give total refund or full refund to customers, which we did. We gave them options, which are re-rebooking. They can also transfer the value of their flight to a travel fund and refund. And then until January 3, we gave special waivers to passengers who would not like to proceed yet, given the difficult situation. So we gave them free rebooking and travel funds if ever their flights were not canceled, but they chose not to proceed with their flights. So those were the options given to the passengers. At the same time, those caught in the airport, we tried our best to at least to provide relief by providing snack boxes. We deployed extra manpower to manage the queues and to guide the passengers on how to do online rebooking and how to manage their booking online or via app, just so they would not, all of them would not flock to the ticketing office just to get assistance.
Okay, now as far as affected areas are concerned, which became the biggest headache? Was it domestic flights, or did you have a number of international flights that caused you more problems?
Of course, there were more domestic flights that were affected, also international flights. But we've managed to do recovery flights and aircraft upgrades just so we could transport people and fly them to their destinations and accommodate those who rebooked their flights because, their flights were canceled on January 1.
Yeah. Now, what remains to be done? What areas are still affected? Where do you still have to do recovery flights? Because I understand from the NAIA GM that, and from Secretary Jimmy Bautista, there have been requests for bigger aircrafts to be used by the airlines. Are you in a position, or are you going to use bigger aircrafts, etc.?
Yes, those were the two solutions that we both applied, recovery flights and aircraft upgrade, just so we can transport people.
Okay, and what's the remainder on the ground? How much? You said 37,000 passengers were affected. Of that 37, what's left, or what's left for to be flown out or in?
Well, yes, majority of them were able to successfully rebook to another schedule, and then the rest we managed to fly through recovery flights. So today we are looking at closing everything and starting fresh, and we have no more canceled flights to announce today. The last round of cancellations we announced yesterday at 11:30 a.m. and then after that, no more. So we're really looking to start fresh today and go back to business as usual.
Okay, now as far as those who rebook, because that's a very sensitive issue for many people, especially out of COVID, coming out of COVID, there were many airline passengers who essentially lost their bookings, etc. Parang as they said, ala, naging bula na lang. But I know the record of Cebu Pacific. You're quite consistent with your policies. How many rebookings or change replacement tickets did you have to issue?
For the rebookings, many more than close to 40% were able to rebook online on their own to manage their own bookings. Yes, so it's quite encouraging that many passengers now know how to find their way on the app or on the website just to manage their own booking. And then for those who were in the airport, like I said, we deployed extra manpower so they can guide the people on how to go about their booking. So hopefully everyone has been rebooked and will be on their flight to their desired destination.
Okay, well, that's all good to know. And yes, I have to commend Cebu Pacific regarding your online facilities, because even an old guy like me managed to get through the system without too many challenges or intimidation. It's a user-friendly system. But Carmina, I give you the opportunity to issue a statement on behalf of Cebu Pacific if you have any further announcements to make.
Thank you, Cito. And we would also like to take this chance to again apologize for the inconvenience. And we really thank the passengers for their patience. This is beyond our control, but we are happy that everyone is safe. We also have to give credit to our aviation partners in terms of safety, because really that's the most important thing of all. Everyone is safe. We are thankful also to CAAP and MIAA, to the government for for granting us extensions and slot approvals to execute the recovery. So really, it was resolved within the day, and we are really thankful for our partners in aviation and safety.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Carmina Romero. Thank you for your updates and have a good day. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Cito, and thank you.
Okay, that's Carmina Romero of spokesperson of Cebu Pacific. We will go for a quick break, and when we return, we go to Miss Cielo Villaluna of Philippine Airlines for an update in their part of the aviation world. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. My apologies for that technical glitch on my part. Sometimes I have a bad habit of pressing buttons that shouldn't be pressed. But today, our focus is primarily on the arrivals, departures at the NAIA and all over the country, especially after that technical glitch that happened over the New Year's Eve and last weekend. Anyway, online we have with us Ms. Cielo Villaluna, spokesperson of Philippine Airlines. Ms. Cielo, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Cito. I'm sure, I hope I'm coming in loud and clear.
Yes, you are. And we would just like to get updates on your side for Philippine Airlines and your passengers. What is the situation after that horrible system failure last weekend?
All right, we have completed, Cito, the recovery operations. By recovery operations, this involves the return to the Manila hub of all our stranded planes and passengers. This was carried out yesterday from early morning up to late evening, all the way till 11 p.m. These are the flights that were stranded in various international and domestic outstations. And the process of completing this yesterday, of course, led to a domino effect. Because these flights, as they arrived, they're being ready. They were prepared for the succeeding flights yesterday, and this led to flight delays. Because under normal circumstances, these flights would have returned on the same day, right, January 1. But because of what happened, the aircraft returned the next day, which was yesterday. So yesterday, we can say that we were transitioning to full normalcy. The transitioning process was yesterday. Today, we are still experiencing minimal flight delays. So we can say, Cito, that tomorrow, hopefully, we will be able to follow our published flight schedules.
Okay, now what about those people who had to rebook or take a different flight or opted to take a later flight? Will they have to wait until next week, or will those who rebooked be able to fly within the week?
All right, very good question. We are in the midst of peak season travel, Cito. So as much as passengers who are affected would like to get out and to fly into their intended destination ASAP, a number of them have been able to fly out, but majority are still stranded. Stranded not in a physical sense that they're at the airport. Stranded in a sense that they are still trying to get into available flights within the next few days. So this will take several days or several weeks. Because remember, Cito, 24,000 passengers were affected by these cancellations. So 24,000 passengers, 244 flights, which make up 60% of our total number of flights per day at this peak travel season. So as to your question, it will take days or even weeks for all the 24,000 to fully fly to their intended destination.
Okay, what is the protocol in place for prioritizing passengers? Because we do have passengers who went on budget tours abroad. There are passengers who are going back to jobs abroad or back to their jobs in the Philippines. There are elderly or people with comorbidities who can't stay away from home or physicians for extended period. How does Philippine Airlines decide who gets to board first and who gets to board last?
Okay, for passengers which require special handling, the elderly, those with medical cases, and of course our Premier Elite passengers, okay, that's a fact. So we have a way of determining who goes first, who is taken care of first. This is a force majeure situation. So you are correct. There is a prioritization process. Those who are in most critical need of assistance are prioritized. The second, passengers who are classified as transit passengers. those who are on a continuing journey but cannot proceed to their final flight leg because of this force majeure situation, the airspace is closed, we also prioritize them. For instance, our Honolulu to Manila, continuing on to Manila Lawag. So we offered them two options. One, to avail of hotel stay, or two, land transfers. So the majority opted for land transfers. This is a force majeure situation, Cito. So under the Passenger Bill of Rights, it is not the airline's fault that it's canceled, not the passenger's fault. So we are not mandated, but the airline can invoke such initiative for humanitarian and goodwill. And then the rest of the passenger base will have to rebook on the next available flights. Another approach is for us to, what we did for some flights is to upgrade the aircraft. From a narrow body A321 that has a 199 seating capacity, we upgraded the aircraft to a 363 flight to a 363 seater Airbus A330. So these are one of the approaches that we carried out, and it's not anymore governed by priority, like who goes first. It's the one who expresses interest also to take the flights. But you see,
Okay,
speak of the peak,
how much longer before? Well, you said you're already going to go back to regular flight schedules, but for those passengers who were affected by this force majeure, you said for as long as a couple of weeks. Is there a definite timeline that you actually give passengers and say, okay, sir, para wala na, wag nang pahabain yung kalbaryo nyo so you don't have to be guessing. Just come back after 1 week or after 2 weeks and you will certainly be able to board, because I think that is the concern of many viewers.
Yes, you are correct. In the system, passengers and our travel agents and our contact center agents can actually see. They have visibility of the availability of space, no, of aircraft space down the line. So we are honest. We say, sir, ma'am, hanggang dito lang po. Punuan po hanggang end ng January, so you can fly back Feb. But passengers who were there were also passengers who were able to fly out immediately because we upgraded the aircraft. These are passengers who were able to join the extra sector flights because we set up extra flights, Cito. But of course, majority will have to wait. There are still passengers stranded up to now, even as we speak. There are
what areas are these, or what flights are these where they are stranded?
Mostly trans-Pacific flights and mostly the Middle Eastern flights. Because our OFW passenger base, they fill up our aircraft. We fly from Riyadh, Doha, Dammam, and Dubai. And of course, our US flights, punuan yan, Cito. So yung mga gustong mag-rebook, they will have to wait for several days or several weeks before they get their chance. So
okay, several weeks or days, inbound or outbound?
Mostly inbound, and mostly it's a mostly inbound. I'm sorry, mostly outbound. Filipinos, VFRs, visiting friends and relatives flying back to the U.S. and Canada, and those having late vacations and flying back to Manila. It's actually a mix, Cito.
Okay.
OFWs rejoining their
Yeah, that's good to know, because many of us are already back at work. So we don't realize that many Filipinos abroad in the Middle East and in the US and Canada are coming back for their vacation in the Philippines. So that's news to us.
That's right. And we are in the midst of revenge travel, Cito. So people want to fly out. Our flights are full. Even domestically, especially Katiklan, especially Siargao, Puerto Princesa, and of course, the regular favorites, Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, punuan yung ating mga flights. We are the peak of the peak.
Okay, so how is SPAL going to recover the cost to them from this force majeure? Are you just going to have to bite your lip and say that's life? Because this is going to cost Philippine Airlines millions for something you guys are not responsible for.
Yes, that is an issue that is worth discussing. We cannot deny it has crossed our minds because The supply chain, as we say, has been affected. When you talk about one day, in the eyes of the world, one day of a country where the airspace is closed, that will already inhibit passengers from booking. So that is lost opportunity, right? So that will translate to lost revenue or the lost opportunity. So that is something that we are looking at. But we are now focusing on the recovery operation, Cito. That is something that is in our minds, but we are parking that in the meantime. But that is something that we are focusing on, and we will take that up in the future. Another question that we are focusing on is, while they have jump-started the navigational system, the question is, we are hoping for sustaining the operability of the communication, navigation, and surveillance system of the air management facility of CAAP. So that is our focus, the long-term operability and sustainability of the system. And we are glad that there are efforts towards addressing that. Our authorities, our DOTR Secretary, our CAAP Director General is actually assuring the public that there are steps being undertaken to ensure that this will not happen again.
Okay. Well, we can only hope that it does not happen again, Cielo. And I do hope that there is some form of insurance that the government can bank on to at least somehow compensate PAL and Cebu Pacific and other airlines who could not fly in or fly out and had to shoulder the expense incurred by their passengers. I do hope there is one, and I'll give you the chance to give a final statement on behalf of PAL. Cielo, please go ahead.
Okay, Cito, thank you for this interview. I would like to utilize this platform to announce to affected passengers, if you are affected by all these cancellations, this is a force majeure cancellation. You have the option to rebook your flight within 60 days from your original flight date. We will not be charging the booking penalty fees. Number two, you can reroute, you can refund. You can also convert your ticket into a travel voucher for use within 1 year from date of issuance. Secondly, you may call our PAL hotline number, 8855-8888. You may visit our website and our Facebook page for other contact numbers. And lastly, you can carry out self-rebooking or self-reaccommodation by visiting the Manage My Booking portal on www.philippineairlines.com.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Cielo Villaluna of Philippine Airlines. Have a good day, a great week, and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Cito. Thank you.
Okay, that's Cielo Villaluna, spokesperson of Philippine Airlines. So for those of you who were affected and are still wondering regarding rebooking or flights, all I can say is please, before doing anything, say a prayer. It's a year for miracles as far as we're concerned, and praying will always help. But anyway, let's move on with the program. And after talking and getting updates from PALS and Cebu Pacific, now let's move on to a second serious concern as far as guests, flights, and tourism is concerned. The worry that's on the mind of many people, tourists from China, the possibility of COVID swarming the Philippines, etc., and all these ideas, notions regarding Chinese tourists with COVID. So let's speak to our regular consultant. Ika nga, kung pwede lang humingi ng reseta sa ere, hihingi ako ngayon dahil hinihika ako sa lamig. Okay, but let's bring in our next guest, Dr. Rontgene Solante, Director for the Infectious Diseases Department of the San Lazaro Hospital, if my memory has not failed me over New Year. Doc Rontgene, did I introduce you correctly?
Yes, Sir Cito. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I've been monitoring the news all over the world. Authorities are saying, no, we will not allow mainland Chinese guests to come without negative RT-PCR, blah, blah, blah. How serious is the situation and what is happening on the ground in the Philippines?
Okay. First, with regards to the issue on requiring RT-PCR negative for travelers coming from China, I think there are already some of 10 or 15 countries now imposing this requirement. No? And I think it's just normal a reaction for a country that has had enough with experience before. Remember that 2020, wherein a lot of these tourists coming from China were the ones that were suspected to spread the infection to each of their countries, no? Thailand, US, and including that of the Philippines, no?
Yeah, if just to refresh the memory of many, we actually pinpointed, well, I don't know if we pinpointed, but we claimed, the Philippines claimed that two tourists from China were responsible for spreading COVID-19 in the Philippines. They were patient zero, allegedly.
Yes, correct. No? And in fact, yung isa doon ay namatay dito rin sa San Lazaro Hospital. So I just want to make clear about this. No? Yung requirement kasi for that is on the scenario that there's a new variant of concern. Now, like for example, no, if we are going to situate ourselves, Philippines and then China, the Philippines, China, for now, no, what we have known is that the surge in China is still an Omicron subvariant driven. Okay, BS.7 was reported. There were reports of a BA.2 and I think BA.5 now. And Sir Cito, this variants of concern or subvariant of Omicron has been with us for already several months, no? And it does not even make a dent in terms of increase in the number of cases. The cases has been stabilized or has been stable for less than 1,000 and 2,000, even with the BF.7. And yet, that's the reason why that I think the Department of Health and some of the experts are still comfortable that we don't need those requirements that travelers from China should present an RT-PCR negative test.
Okay, so you're assuming, or health authorities in the Philippines are assuming, that we are well vaccinated and protected against all currently existing variants of COVID-19.
Yes, correct. Because for that alone, we have been exposed to this subvariant. So meron na rin tayong tinatawag na hybrid immunity exposure because of the infection. And at the same time, 90% of the population has already been receiving the primary vaccine series.
Okay, what happens when the tourists from China come into the Philippines? Do we presume that they have the same level of protection as well? Assuming na wala silang sakit, no? Pero they come to the Philippines, they are free of any signs or symptoms. They come to the Philippines. Are they also well protected, vaccinated? Because some people have said, they only have 2 vaccines. They're not even booster shots, etc. What is the truth?
Well, ganito yan, no? Di ba meron tayong e-pass, no? Yung One Health e-arrival card. And part of that e-arrival card is they have to declare their vaccination status. Now, in the event that they don't have vaccine or they have not received any vaccine or only partially vaccinated, part of that is they should present an RT-PCR or antigen test 48 hours prior to departure from their country of origin. So, ang nakikita natin doon is we still require people, regardless of what country they are, kung wala pang bakuna, to present a negative RT-PCR antigen test. And if they are vaccinated, they have to declare the vaccines that they have received. Well, totoo naman yan, no, na ang mga Chinese are only receiving the Chinese-made vaccine. The Sinovac, the Sinopharm, and some of these brands that are available there, no? Now, ang mangyari dito, they will be the ones that will be vulnerable, but when they go inside the Philippines, they should be careful because at the most, since they are not protected, they can still develop the infection. Unlike most of the Filipinos, we have hybrid immunity plus we have heterologous. Nalala mo yun, Sir Cito, we have Sinovac, but a lot of those who receive the booster are preferred to get the mRNA, no, the Pfizer and the Moderna and the Astra. And you know
Yeah,
what?
because some countries, the US, Canada, or in Europe, there were rumors that if you only had Sinovac or some Chinese type vaccine for COVID, it would not be recognized. So we all went for the Pfizer, AstraZeneca vaccines.
Yes, correct. And you know what? The data is telling us now, no, itong mga bagong data ngayon na napakaganda ng effect ng pag nabigyan ka ng inactivated like Sinovac, pero yung booster mo is the mRNA or even the Astra, napakaganda ng protection, especially against severe infection. So for me, we're still lucky enough to have those number of vaccines that were available to us, tapos nag-mix and match tayo. So for me, I think we can do well as long as China is really reporting, no, the accurate information that they still have the Omicron. And I think yung nangyari doon sa Italy na yung 50% of the passengers, they did the genome sequencing and all of those passengers did have the Omicron variant.
Yeah, okay. So how do you deal with that situation? Because I can understand the dilemma of Secretary Jimmy Bautista when he said, teka, let's have them tested or let's not allow them to come in first because we're assuming it's Omicron. Are we confident na hindi na ba bangon yung Frankenstein na COVID na yan called Delta?
Well, yung Delta talaga, that was really a nightmare for us, no? And so yung variant of concern, talagang napupuno yung mga hospital. What we are afraid of is that if there will be new variants of concern, yung high transmissibility, kayang-kaya natin yan. No? We have had a lot of that for several months. Mataas ang mga highly transmissible variant of concern. But what we are afraid of if the new variant of concern will develop to be more virulent as Delta. So yun yung kinakatakutan natin. And that's why the Department of Health issued this heightened alert in terms of increasing the awareness sa mga healthcare facilities, travelers from China who will be in the hospitals or in the clinic to test them with an RT-PCR and then at the same time do contact tracing.
Okay, let's go for a quick break, Dr. Rontgene. When we come back, I want to raise the question, what happens if the Chinese come to the Philippines and they all get sick here? Who takes responsibility? Kasi alam mo, baka baliktarin na naman ang kwento. Sabihin, no, it didn't come from China. It came from the Philippines, etc. And also about this bivalent vaccine. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. It's December 3, 2023. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Thanking you for joining us this morning. Greetings to our, sorry. I said December na naman. Hello, I need to be reformatted. I need to upgrade my iOS. It's January 3, 2023. Anyway, good morning, Ma'am Tessie Baldos of the Sagada Pottery House. Thank you for teaching us how to do pottery. Anyway, Doc Rontgene, we're back on air and let's address that issue. What happens when Chinese tourists come to the Philippines in droves and then they get seriously ill in the country? Number one, do we have facilities enough to take care of them, considering they come in the hundreds, if not thousands? Kakayanin ba natin? And number two, how do we manage the fault finding or the blaming?
Yes, okay. On that note, definitely, if they will get sick and then they need to go to the hospitals, alam mo naman yan sila, kadalasan, they will go to a private hospitals, no? And we have experience also like that during the pandemic. Mayroon tayong mga Chinese tourists na nagka-COVID dito, and they also prefer the private hospitals. I think kaya naman siguro natin yan, and I don't think there will be overwhelmed facilities on that note, no? Kasi kung hindi kaya sa mga private hospitals yan, then that will be carried on by the government hospitals, no? At this point, Sir Cito, all of the hospitals are still in that alert level na we have to allocate 20 to 30% of the total bed capacity na dapat nakareserba pa rin sa COVID-19, no? Hindi pa natin inaalis yan. And that's also part of the heightened alert, no? And on that note, napaka-importante dito yung guidance natin na when they will be admitted, they will be tested, and subsequently, sequencing should be done para ma-determine natin kung ano itong mga variants na nandun sa kanila. Now, that's the beauty of sequencing, because doon natin ma-determine if they still are carrying the Omicron variant, pwedeng nakuha nila yan doon sa China, pwede rin nakuha din natin dito dahil meron pa rin naman tayong community transmission. But in the event na kung iba yung variant of concern na hindi common dito sa Philippines at ibang-iba siya, then that should be validated first by the WHO if it is considered a new variant of concern.
Yung Sinovac ba, is it well able to deal with Delta?
Yes, the data was really good with Sinovac. The experience with, yung experience with Chile, Brazil, no, and most of the South American countries in terms of prevention of severe infection, medyo maganda. But I think it was also on the element na yung mga nabakunahan doon, nabigyan din ng mga mRNA vaccine, mas lalong gumanda ang performance in the protection against severe infection. But again, nandoon pa rin siya in terms of kung i-compare mo siya sa mga mRNA, hindi siya ganun ka level, no? In terms of protection.
Okay, now we were talking about, I was about to ask you about bivalent vaccines because some people have said, di na kailangan yan, yung mRNA magaling na, and some people have said, no, we still need it for potential new variants. What's your position on the matter so far? Because I know everything changes, policy changes, directions changes, but so far, what's your view on bivalent vaccines, etc.?
Okay, so just to give you a disclosure, I'm part of the FDA external pool of experts who reviewed the bivalent vaccine, and yung nakita namin tong mga data nila, no, it really has advantage over that of the monovalent, and that is expected, Sir Cito, no, dahil itong bivalent vaccine, talagang nilagyan na nila ng BA.1, BA.4, and BA.5. So that means mas stronger ang protection mo against Omicron subvariant. And when you look at how it compared with the monovalent, mas broader ang protection niya, and we would expect na mas longer ang protection niya, especially against Omicron. Now, why are we recommending a bivalent? Because if we're going to give the next vaccine booster among our people, it should be the bivalent over the monovalent. Kung gagastos ka lang naman para bibili ka ng mga bakuna and para ibibigay sa mga vulnerable population, ito na ang bibilhin natin over that of the monovalent vaccine.
Okay, so listening to what you just said, are you saying that vaccination booster is going to be an annual thing for Filipinos? Kumbaga, it's going to be for life na?
Well, for now, hindi pa natin masasabi kung magiging annual siya. Ang masasabi ko lang na if there will be next vaccine that we'll be giving this 2023, it should be the bivalent. Now, it depends, no? Halimbawa, by 2024, kung baga wala na yung COVID, talagang na-erase na sa mapa, we don't need the vaccine. But if there will still be a report of transmission of COVID, then that will be the area where we will have to explore if there will be yearly vaccination of COVID vaccine. And ang tanong lang dyan, ano ang reformulation ng bagong mga COVID vaccine na yan? It will be dependent on what variant of concern will be dominating in the years to come.
Yeah, that's where I was headed, because number one, how do you determine that we need to do boosters annually? How do you determine that COVID, whatever the type or variant, has already been wiped out from the face of the earth? And what is the combination content of these bivalent vaccines? Because some people have, made fun and said, pinaghalo lang yung Sinovac at saka yung Pfizer at saka yung Astra. Yun na, bivalent, trivalent pa nga eh.
Hindi naman, no? So, yung unang tanong is, how do we determine kung kailangan natin ng bakuna? It's the number of people that will be getting the infection every year, like what we are doing with pneumonia, with influenza, the number of people that are getting hospitalized because of the infection. So, halimbawa, pag meron pa rin mga na-hospital, meron pa rin nagka-infection all throughout the year, then kailangan natin ng regular na bakuna, no? That's one. Yung in terms of kung anong bakuna yan, that's where the work of the Philippine Genome Center and hopefully once the establishment of the Viral Institute of the Philippines, no, na magiging ma-materialize na, to do the regular surveillance of this COVID virus para ma-determine din natin kung ano yung prevailing variant of concern. Mm-hmm. Now, doon sa bivalent, Sir Cito, no, it's a vaccine na ang component nito, yung original strain ng Wuhan, and at the same time, nilagyan lang ng Omicron variant. So which means that when you inject this to people, there are two types of neutralizing antibody ang maproduce ng katawan natin. The original strain, which will protect us against alpha, beta, and delta, and that of the Omicron variant, which will protect us also against any subvariant of the Omicron from BA.1, BA.4, and BA.5.
Yeah, but how do you, kasi the promise or the pronouncements that are being made is that the bivalent vaccine will protect us from any new variants. Is that a correct statement, or was that just a stretch?
I think that's just a stretch, no? Because the bivalent vaccine is really formulated to protect us, specifically protect us against Omicron subvariants, and not unless there are other variant of concern outside of Omicron, that will not be within that domain of protection with the bivalent vaccine.
Okay, now having discussed all of this, what about side effects or adverse effects? Because I was just speaking with someone during our trip to Sagada, and the person mentioned, sabi nila kwento, young man developed hypertension. I'm sure you've heard of studies where there's been a suggestion that those who have had COVID have a possibility of developing hypertension, diabetes, etc. what have you observed factually at the hospital at San Lazaro regarding all of this, yung mga adverse effects or new conditions resulting from all of this?
Well, in terms ng mga vaccinated, Sir Cito, no, so far wala kami nakikita mga very serious adverse event, no. And in fact, ang kadalasan dito is yung talagang masakit lang pag ini-inject mo siya and yung 2 to 3 days parang nilalagnat. But what we're seeing now, no, this is something that we should also be considering. A lot of those who are currently admitted because of COVID does not anymore present with the severe respiratory infection, yung hinihingal at kailangan ng oxygen, no? Mm-hmm. In fact, a lot of them present with stroke, present with myocardial infarction, yung atake sa puso, blood pressure are rising because of the COVID infection. In fact, there are patients na yung mga diabetes nila hindi mas difficult to control, no, because of COVID. And part of that is the post-COVID. I think the long COVID or the post-COVID sequelae will really be an important cause of morbidity as we move on with this pandemic. Kasi marami talaga kami mga pasyente na previously COVID but has not fully recovered yet. No, they still need a lot of care. Hindi pa sila nakabalik sa trabaho. Yung mental aspect ng effect ng long COVID is also really a part that is something very serious.
Okay, but let's be clear. Who ends up with these problems? People who landed in the hospital because of COVID or people who had severe COVID? Kasi like me, I got COVID but I had it for like 1 day. Parang sinipon. I had a very low-grade fever. And some people are worried. Pare, do you mean that if I got COVID, even Omicron COVID lang, I stand to develop these things that Doc Rontgene is talking about?
Yes. The data is telling us that for those who develop moderate to severe, are higher likelihood that they will also develop the long COVID sequelae, no? But there are also a few of those that has mild symptoms na also develop. In fact, mayroon tayong mga bata, 20 to 30 years old pa lang, nag-develop ng depression, brain fog, no? And then that part of yung palagi silang pagod, isip fatigability, and they cannot understand that, no? So which means that we need to really communicate that regardless of your status, regardless of your age, there's a possibility that this sequelae will also be there, but likelihood of being higher among those who are elderly, those with comorbidities, and especially for those with comorbidities na hindi kontrolado, kagaya ng may mga hypertension at diabetes.
Are these after effects manageable? Last question.
Yes, they are manageable. Ang napaka-importanting tanong yan, Sir Cito, no? Because a lot of them thought that kayang-kaya nila. No, it should not be. They should be following up their doctors regularly, no? At times long-term ang follow-up nito, but again, at most these are reversible and manageable.
Okay, well, thank you, Doc Rontgene. I'm sure a lot of people appreciated the information you shared. Thank you for joining us again on the first week of January 2023. God bless you, Doc Rontgene. Have a great day. Have a great week. Happy New Year.
Thank you and Happy New Year, Sir Cito.
Okay, that's Doc Rontgene Solante who has given us so much information. Let's now go to our closing blessing for the week from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verses 16 to 18. Rejoice evermore. Pray without ceasing. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Thank you for joining us today here on Agenda. Please forgive my glitches this morning. Tulog pa ang kuyang. God bless all of you. Please keep it here on One News.